Good morning, everybody. Happy spring day. It's definitely a Winnie the Pooh kind of day where I want to go outside with a kite, you know, and let it just go around in the wind in the treetops. I just love stuff like that. I was never good at kite flying, but days like this always make me think about the song from Mary Poppins, Let's Go Fly a Kite. I love that song. Anyways, if you don't know who I am by now, my name is Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert and a Shiatsu massage therapist, and my specialty is helping women who are in toxic or narcissistic relationships get strong enough mentally, emotionally, and physically so that they can really take back their power and start to not be in that victim role. Hey, Jody, nice to see you. So today's topic comes from current events. Hey, Velia, not necessarily current events out in politics, but current events in a lot of women's lives that are going on. I've been noticing it, and many other women who are in narcissistic relationships, because it's not so simple as, well, if they don't treat you well, you need to leave, you need to find another job, you need to cut them out of your life. That's actually a standard rule of thumb that people are giving as advice. But I find the majority of women who are in narcissistic relationships, they aren't ready to leave. Either it's their job or finances, hey Kellyanne, or they've got other responsibilities that they can't let go of, or they just aren't strong enough yet. They aren't ready to make that shift. So many women are in narcissistic relationships or toxic relationships by choice, and that's okay. First of all, that's absolutely okay. We all get to decide for ourselves the best way to handle something, and getting up and walking away and leaving it all behind is one strategy, for keeping your sanity. And many women do get there after a lot of years. Hey, Adrienne. But if you're in the middle of being either a coworker or a spouse or a family member, if you're in the middle of this relationship, you have some things you need to deal with. One is when people who are more toxic get emotional, one of their strategies to make themselves feel better is to attack and gaslight and manipulate, mentally manipulate, and emotionally manipulate, the person they've chosen, which is probably you, you're the one that they're messing with, and they're not messing with other people. So, what's one of my favorite strategies for when someone is coming after me? From a healer perspective, my favorite strategy is to listen. Sometimes, I set that line and I get up and I walk away, and sometimes I, cut off contact and do all of those things, absolutely. But what I found is the most powerful is many people who are toxic or narcissistic, they're that way because they feel overwhelmed and stressed out. So like you're on the left-hand side, way on the left, being stressed out by them and feeling everything they're going through, and they're way on the right. You may be controlling your emotions, but they're, allowing it to spew all over you. So many people who are overwhelmed like that, a common theme is they feel that no one has ever listened to them. Maybe this person that's attacking you has told you over the years, nobody listens to me, you don't listen to me, nobody listens to me. Hey, Joanne. And maybe you look at this person and you're like, wow, why would anybody listen to you? You're crazy. You're off the hook. You're yelling at people. You're accusing. You're saying things which aren't true. You're becoming this total bully. It's easy to take somebody who's toxic or narcissistic and put them in a box and decide that they're, evil. But what do you do if that narcissist or toxic person is somebody that you love, who isn't always evil, who has so many strengths and benefits, but they're overshadowed by this emotional manipulation? One of the best gifts you can give somebody that you care about or that you want to care about is to listen to them. Really listen to what they're saying. Hey, Carrie Lynn. Many times they're so used to attacking and being attacked back. Hey, Corey. Because someone's reacting from their energy. So many times they're used to that these people never really feel heard. They never feel like anybody actually listened to anything that they had to say and didn't make it, didn't turn it around and start to fight back. Because that's normal. When somebody's attacking you, the first thing you want to do is either run or hide or punch them in the face or something. Jane says her best friend from high school is a narcissist. Just got fed up last December at 55 years old. Wow, you really stuck in there a long time before you were ready to make a shift. Congratulations, Jane. Nice job. You know, it's not easy to walk away from relationships, especially when you have a whole history. But you get to decide every moment, every day, hey, Phyllis, every day, whether a relationship is worth your time and energy or not. And if you're in the position where you've decided right now it's worth it to me, many times your sanity will come from listening to them. Not defending, going to your therapist, going to your friend, going to your coach, working through your own stuff, but finally giving this person something that they need, something that they feel they don't get anywhere else. And when that happens, when they finally feel heard, they're able to finally finish that emotional process and let some of those things go. And then the next time they trigger, maybe there'll be more time between, maybe it will be less volatile, or maybe you'll handle it differently because now you're able to know you can maintain while they're going, lunatic asylum. What tends to make things worse is when we our own energy adds to the mix. When we're angry, when we're suppressing our anxiety, when we're really hijacked by our own emotions. But there's so many ways to stay level and listen when someone is going off the rails. You know, a big piece of what I use is I make sure that if I think something's coming, I load up on the things that will keep me calm. That's when I drink my chamomile tea. That's when I take my Xanax if I have to. That's when I load up on my CBD oil. Because when you're able to maintain, when you're able to stay level, then the other person, the toxic person, is able to come in, they have their emotional release, you listen to what they have to say, and they come back down. Now here's the key. Don't just listen to their words, because many narcissists, they'll lie to you. They're not going to be vulnerable and tell you what's really going on inside of them. Instead, they're going to attack you and blame you. So if you're in a grounded place, you need to look beneath the words and see what they're really saying. Now in my practice, one of the joys, one of the most powerful pieces of it, hey Kim, is I help women get what they need. And when you get what you need, typically your stress level goes down and you're not as reactionary. Hey, Amanda. So most women that come, that work with me, coaching or body work, whatever it may be, it's not just advice or lip service. It's also getting the nourishment that you need, the connection, the listening, the energy work, the body work. And this is true with the narcissist, the one that's on the opposite side of the spectrum from you are. You're on the, hypersensitive but suppresses it. Hey, Andrea. And they're on the hypersensitive but attacks and messes with people. But you both have many of the same needs. And when you can start doing your healing work and come at a situation from a really grounded place, you're helping that narcissist get that need met. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to stay in a relationship with them. This is when you feel that, there's more value in staying than going, and you need to make your life as easy as possible. Listening to this person and letting them vent, letting them express how they feel without judgmentalism on your part will actually cut this stuff short pretty quick. Now, I know if you're in a toxic relationship, you probably have some wounds from when you were a kid. Either times that you felt abandoned or times that you felt attacked, or maybe you were rejected or betrayed by your family in some way. That's really common. And so when this narcissist attacks you, part of what happens are all of those feelings come up, all of those fears, that helplessness, that out of control, and you are hijacked by your emotions. And rightfully so. This time you're going to defend yourself. This time you're not going to fight back. But in reality, when two wounded people come together, we've got a great big war, and that's not in anybody's benefit. Hey, Liz, violent competition is never, never helpful, where it's two people who are wounded and battling each other. When you can start to get your emotions regulated and under your control, when you can start to find your grounded place, you're able to manage your environment better. You're able to respond in a way that helps this narcissist get their needs met, at least temporarily, so that they get off your back. I found it's much easier to listen to what somebody has to say than to have a war with them for, you know, a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. You know, even defending myself, even saying, but no, that's not true. You've got it wrong. That's not the way that it is. You need to see my point of view. You're speaking to somebody who's feeling so overwhelmed and so comfortable with expressing their emotions in a really aggressive way that they can't hear you. They can't hear a thing that you're saying, but they can feel your energy. They can feel your anxiety. They can feel that tension. And you know what? That totally ramps them up. But when you come in a peaceful place, in a grounded, strong place, not with pity, because they can feel pity too, but when you can come from a very neutral place, what the Buddhists call compassion. You have sympathy, which is feeling sorry for someone. You have empathy, as Jane says, being an empath, they attach themselves to you. It's hard to not find one. I know they're everywhere. Empathy is when we feel that narcissist's emotions. It affects us, and that's one of the reasons that we react the way that we do, because it's not just our energy, we're now feeling their energy too. You know, one of the best ways I've only attracted really cool people into my practice is my compassion. And compassion is where you do not get drawn into, you do not get pulled into someone else's emotion, where you can look at their emotion. Hey, Maddie. You can look at their emotion. You can be present with their emotion. Hey, Cynthia. But you have decided to manage yours, to not be suppressing them or pushing them down. You've decided to find the tools, GABA and juicing and CBD and meditation and walking and, you know, and community. You've decided to get those things in your life so you aren't as reactionary, right? And when you're not reactionary, when you come at someone with an open heart, with love and compassion, without, you know, that need to fix, without that need to defend, so it's not feeding it, then the narcissist is able to finally go through their process. Because most people have cut their process short. Hey, Chanel. Hey, Cynthia. They've cut it where, you know, they've been like, it's bad for this person to feel this way, so I'm gonna try to stop it. I'm gonna offer, you know, sex or love or crying or whatever it may be. You know, we offer our emotions. Hey, Gordana. But in reality, that just makes the narcissist and toxic person feel even less heard, and it ramps them up even more. Hey, Sharon. It makes them even crazier and more vicious with what they have to say. You start to find that with many narcissists and toxic people, when you can stay grounded and don't give any energy to their emotion, they're actually able to start resolving some of them. And if someone does want to stay in that emotion, victim, helpless, there's nothing I can do, it's everybody else's fault sort of mindset, then because I'm in a compassionate place, then they're not getting what those people are looking for, because they're looking for that drama and that anger and that fight. You know, that's what they're comfortable with. And when I don't give them that, and I don't even give them the energy of it, it loses momentum. Think about a narcissist attack as a scale. You know, they're kind of always sort of in balance until something tips the scale. You know, and what can tip the scale can be your emotionality, can be your reaction to something. You know, they may feel a little irritated, and because you react in the way that you do, it tips them over the edge. If you recognize that you're not the only one who's always walking on eggshells, that they're always walking on eggshells too, it gives you a chance to take back your power again, to recognize, okay, this person's constantly on edge, constantly stressed out, even though they're not expressing it. So if I'm interested in my well-being and my health, I'm going to make sure that I'm not the person that tips the scales, that I'm not the person that's in the way when they need to attack, when they need to be verbal like that. You know, it's the same way like with my dad. You know, when I was a kid, I learned to avoid my dad when he was in a bad space because he wasn't healthy enough to be present. Doesn't mean he was a bad person. It doesn't mean he didn't love me. It meant that he did not know how to control how he felt. And so when you can give somebody some space to let them be where they're at, and you don't come in with your own empathic, reactionary point of view of needing to fix it or even needing to feel sorry for it, it's allowed to come and allowed to go. Hey, Connie. Now, stuff like that, because you're super empathic, really knocks you on your butt because you can feel the energy. I let myself just be present with how I feel. You know, maybe now isn't the moment. because it'll make things worse. But I absolutely give myself time later on with a friend, hey Stacy, or with people who matter to me, or just with myself, to let myself move my energy through. But you get to be strategic about it. You do not have to leave yourself open and vulnerable to someone who's attacking you. You can do everything you need to do to be grounded and then deal with your emotions at a later date. And when you do that, when you don't feed that energy, for many narcissists, what happens is, as I said, they're allowed to go through their emotional process. They're allowed to have the highs and the lows without feeling like they need to defend how they feel. Okay, or without the feeling like they need to punch back and attack whatever that you say. Hey, Peggy, many times when you can hold that space for them, because they are a child, they are a 3-year-old who's overreacting, or a teenager who's out of control. They are. In their mind, this is what you're dealing with. And what a good friend and what a good lover and what a good partner does is they love this person through their process. You're looking at someone who's struggling with being wounded, who has no idea how to handle how it feels. And they're using their words and they're using their emotion to try to get back control. When you take back control of yourself, of your feelings, of how you handle it, when you've got the tools in there, then you can be the guiding light for the relationship. You can help shape it. And this narcissist or toxic person can either join you, or they can find somebody else who helps meet their needs better, who loves to fight with them, who loves to, think about how they can, react and get back at the other person. Some people really enjoy that dynamic. And if that's not you, when you're able to stay level, when you're able to stay grounded through that experience, then they start to not, realize that you aren't the one that they want to attack anymore because they don't get what they need. So either they're coming from, an overwhelmed, unstable, nobody ever listens to me place, and when you give that to them, they'll be able to go through their process, or they're coming from the place of, this is the way that I am, and this is the way that it's going to be, and I love drama, and I love, to find people to beat up, and this is this is how it works. When you hold that space, then they go away. So there's two types of people. It's almost like a way for you to vet out who's worth your time or not. If you hold the sacred space and they evolve and grow, then they've got potential, right? There's movement. Maybe they're worth your time and energy. But if you hold that sacred space and they go someplace else, they have the fights and the wars with somebody else, then you aren't that person for them. Your job isn't to determine whether someone is right or wrong. Your job is to hold a standard for the life of you want to live, for who you want to be, the experiences you want to have, and let the people around you rise up to that. Either rise up to it or get their needs met in another way. Okay? So your job for you specifically is to manage your emotions and to be the healthiest, happiest person that you can be. So Connie says, how do you respond when they go through your children to attack? Oh, I generally don't respond to him at all, so no acknowledgement to him. I work with my kids on possible responses or no response for them. So when they go through your children to attack you, the best way to reframe it is an opportunity for your kids, which is exactly what you've done. You're teaching your kids on possible responses or no response. Your kids are going to go out into the world, and their father is not going to be the only narcissist or toxic person that they run into. When they develop the skills of boundaries, when they develop the skills of managing their own emotions, of how to detox those emotions, of how to have compassion, not, pity or empathy, but have, compassion. When they're able to do that, they can go into any environment and feel confident and strong and grounded. So look at this thing, with your ex and with your children as an opportunity to help them evolve into the best person that they can be. For me, I'm grateful that my traumas happened to me when I was a kid because it gave me the rest of my life to become this really fabulous person, and no time wasted. No part of my life was wasted, because now in my 40s and women in their 50s and 60s, now I'm not struggling with those things because I learned many of those lessons when I was young. Chanel says, is it okay to say, I can see that you're upset. I love you, but I'm not going to come to your energy level? You can say that. It probably won't be very effective, but you can absolutely say that, because when we say something like that, my first reaction is that you're trying to tell me that you're better than I am, which of course is just going to piss me off more, because if you're trying to tell me that you're better than I am and I'm already struggling and I already have insecurities, that will not go over well. That'll just add fuel to the fire. Hey, Sherry. So, I mean, it's certainly okay, and definitely try it as an experiment, but only when you're in a really good space to see how it lands, to see whether you need to backtrack real quick. When we say these things, when we start to make changes, we need to come at them from the most grounded, rational place possible so that we can try something new. And if it doesn't work out, we can get out of there as fast as possible. So when we come with the energy of, I'm not going to come to your energy level, say that to yourself. Say that, you know what, I don't want to come to this energy level, and we'll see if they can work this way out. Maybe a better phrase. Maybe a phrase is, my favorite script phrase is, thank you for telling me how you feel. I really appreciated it. That's what I tend to say, and I don't say anything else. Connie says, thanks, needed this validation today. I've seen my kids get their own voice and be clear about who they are and how they personally want to be treated. Yes, Connie, that's absolutely it. So anyways, back to the script, to the phrase that I use. Almost hands down, even when I'm panicky and freaked out and I don't know what to say, I say, thank you for telling me how you feel. I really appreciate it. It matters a lot to me that you would share these feelings with me. That has been one of the most effective things I could ever say, because it's not about me. It totally takes the toxic and narcissistic person off balance, because nobody's ever responded to them that way. Nobody's ever responded with, wow, thank you for telling me how you feel. I appreciate that you're vulnerable with me. I appreciate that you're sharing this with me. You know what? Most people are attacking or leaving or abandoning. And when someone's insecure, that just totally makes it worse. And they're going to attack even more, okay? So come up with your phrase. Come up with your thing that you're comfortable with saying. That isn't about you. That's just holding a sacred space without blame, without guilt, without judgment. Now, it doesn't mean that the situation you're in is correct. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that you need to tolerate these things and you need to let yourself be victimized. This is if you're in a situation that it's not good for you to leave, you're choosing to stay, the person is someone that you want to stay with, where it's your choice for your good reasons, and you're not quite ready. This is what you need to do in order to cope and survive. And a side benefit, which I have found by doing this with at least 2, if not more, narcissists in my life, 2 extremely important, valuable narcissists, people I did not want to get rid of, like my dad. When I started to hold this sacred space, they started to evolve. That was one of the beautiful side effects. I went in not with trying to heal them, not with trying to fix them, but with recognizing where they're at, and maybe they'll be able to rise to the occasion. And for me, they have. Jane wants to know, doesn't that bring them back over and over every time they feel like that? Okay, let's look at healing. Okay, let's not look at a narcissist as evil. Let's just, for the time being, look at a narcissist as having a mental health issue. On the one hand, you can say, if I'm giving them their fix, then they're going to keep coming back to me. The thing is when you maintain and stay grounded, you're not giving them their fix. Their fix is the fight. Their fix is the energy. Their fix is dumping their crap on somebody. That's their fix. So Jane, I'll give you my second favorite phrase that I like to use, which is, wow, that's really difficult. How are you going to handle that? That's how I respond in those situations. I don't take it on. I don't take responsibility for it. I sit there in my groundedness, in my curiosity, in my belief in the other person that they're going to figure this out, that they're going to solve this problem, that they're pointing their finger and blaming or laying all of their garbage about their life on you. when I put it back on them, either A, they're going to go away because I'm not giving them that fix. I'm not being a black hole that they can dump all their stuff on. I'm actually challenging them a little bit. And if they don't like that, then they'll find somebody else who will let them dump on. But if they do like that, then they'll start to evolve. Chanel asks, will a narc ever admit that they are a narcissist? Do they always stay in denial? You know what? Many times a narcissist is a narcissist because they think they have to be. They think they have no choice. Many narcissists, and I read once in a really great article, they said the way to know a narcissist is to ask them. And they will tell you. They'll tell you things like, you have to look out for number one because nobody else will look out for you. You know, and life is hard and it's dog eat dog. And they'll say things like that. That's them admitting that they are a narcissist. And even if you call them a narcissist, they'll say, well, everybody's a narcissist. Everybody has narcissistic tendencies. You know, and that's absolutely true. That's the way they defend themselves. So there's a difference between getting someone to validate how you feel and helping get somebody what they need, which is a space to move the energy and maybe start self-reflecting and processing their emotions. That's the best case scenario. You know, the best case scenario is that they start to evolve and grow as a person. The next case scenario is that they leave and find somebody else to do that too. So many times they won't actually admit that they have a problem because they feel they'll say things like, yeah, trust no one. They'll feel that this is what they have to do in order to heal. Now, the beautiful thing is, once someone starts to heal, you know, if they're in the category of not truly a narcissist, like they do have the ability to care about other people besides themselves, if they've got that seed of ability, maybe it's just, you know, borderline personality disorder or bipolar or anxiety or depression, you know, maybe it's another mental health issue. Hey, Natalia, that's coming out as narcissism. Hey, Stephanie, if they've got that in them and they're able to start evolving, hey, Kelly, evolving and get their needs met and growing and moving that energy and moving the stuff that they've suppressed and start to be able to feel heard and valued, then they get to the point where they start to see that who they were is not who they want to be. And maybe they'll never say that they're a narcissist, but they'll know that what they were doing, just like with an addict, they'll start to realize that what they were doing is not in their best interests anymore. And that collaboration and cooperation and getting along with somebody and figuring out how to make relationships work are in their best interest, because that's what they really want. Most humans, that's what we really want, love and connection. And we try to get it the one way, and then we start to realize that that's not working, but we can get it the other way. It's like good parenting, you know. Hey, Allison, good to see you. It's like about good parenting. When you give a child boundaries and a safe space to get comfortable with their emotions, they're able to evolve and grow into a healthy human being. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you have to assume that they are, you know, looping around in a childhood age somewhere, you know, either adolescent or pre-adolescent, or, you know, even when they were a toddler themselves, that they're regressing to that point of view. That's where they're stuck. But just like with all children, they have the ability to evolve and grow. Our brain is always creating neural connections. It's called neuroplasticity. We're always creating new brain cells. All the things that they thought were true when you were younger, you know, that nothing ever changes, that everything is fixed. What you got is what you got, and then you're just going to decline. All the science is refuting that. All of the science is saying that is so not true. The body is always healing itself. The brain is always growing and creating new connections. You're always becoming higher and higher versions of yourself if that's what you want. And so if you hold out a light that a narcissist can become a higher version of themselves by helping them heal because you're healed, because you're in a good space, then they are able to become the person that you see in them. They're able to rise up and evolve to that potential. And when they do that, they can look back at their past behavior, just like my dad, just like my best friend. They can look back at that past behavior and realize that that's not the way they want to live. That's not the way they want to be, because they were so lonely and so empty, and they would rather have that joy of community. Many indigenous communities, when someone struggles, that's their call for help to bring the community together and help the person remember who they are, what their song is, that they're not alone, to help get them on the right path again. They don't abandon people. They come together in strength, in a community, to say, clearly this is something you're struggling with. Let's help you course correct so you can get in a better space, okay? And I've seen it time after time after time. And some people are ready, and that's not the direction that they want to go, or they're truly diagnosable as a narcissist, or they've got another mental health issue or wiring, which is coming out in narcissistic behavior, and they're stuck in that child, and they don't know how to handle how they feel. They don't know how to regulate their emotions, and they're overreacting and acting out with an adult's, experience, with an adult's power. And so you healing is the best thing that you can do for any narcissist in your life, because you will give them the opportunity and the invitation to heal and rise up and be with you. And some people will take that, and some people won't. The people who won't, it just means they're not ready. And the people who do want to rise up and hold that space of less drama and peace and joy and sacredness, then they will rise up to meet you, and they will evolve. And then you can actually have a really great relationship with them. Okay? So yes, hallelujah for hope, Chanel. There absolutely is. And I believe most people are good people that are behaving in a self-absorbed narcissistic way because they don't know how to do any better, and they feel overwhelmed and trapped by how they feel. And so they just regress to the thing they've always used, that they probably got away with when they were children. When you look at it from that framework, it helps you make different decisions, okay? So here's your homework assignment for today. I want you to think about one narcissist in your life. Yes, Chanel says, I said in the past, they react in the age they felt the least loved and accepted. That's how actually most of us feel inside. We go back to the age that we felt least connected. Our biggest fear, mine was, my biggest fear actually was a group pedophile party. And coming across those feelings or those senses or that helplessness of when I was small, 6 or 7 years old, and being surrounded by big men, who had power and authority of me, and I had no power. That ended up being one of my biggest things. And so for me, I reacted from that age because I felt abandoned by my family in my emotional thing, and that's what I would go back to, my biggest trauma, my biggest difficulty. And so the narcissist tends to go back every single time they end up in conflict in a reactionary way, back to, like Jane says, exactly like in middle school, or exactly like when their mom was screaming at them. Now, it doesn't mean that you cut them a break. It doesn't mean that you feel sorry for them or pity them. That's actually very counterproductive. What it means is you look past their behavior, you see the person that they can be, and you give them the opportunity to rise up. Now, I've got many clients, and one of them specifically comes to mind. She was in a domestic violence relationship. She had 2 kids, they were married, and he was a cop and kept guns around the house. How she chose to deal with it is she left, but she held that sacred space so the man could have a relationship with her kids. Now, decades later, because it does take a few decades sometimes. Decades later, he's got a good relationship with his kids. He's grateful that she kept that connection. He had more relationships that challenged him to evolve. And because she held this space without judgmentalism or blame or guilt or fear or reactionary or any of that, he was given the space to grow and evolve until he could become the father to her children that he always wanted to be and she wanted them to be. So, Tony Robbins says we overestimate what we can get done in a year. Hey, Cindy. And we underestimate what we can get done in many years. Let's say 3 to 5 years or 10 years. There's so much that can really be accomplished, even with a narcissist. And if you hold that space with a curious, I wonder if they'll be able to rise up to this. That'll be curious and interesting to see if they're able to do that. When you're whole in and of yourself, then you can watch and wait and see whether they will take that opportunity and that love that you give them. Cecilia says your narcissist keeps trying to pull you back in. Oh yeah, of course. They're going to take the low-hanging fruit. They're going to take the easiest, thing that they can. It's your job to not get sucked in. Of course they're going to try. Who wouldn't? When you're feeling desperate, you're going to do everything you possibly can. You're going to go for the easiest route to get your needs met. And when someone isn't, your drama needs met, not necessarily your healing needs met. They don't even know that they have those most of the time. When you hold that space, they eventually learn that you aren't the person that you used to be, that you're no longer the victim that fits into their victim triangle. And when that happens, they either need to find a new victim or they need to evolve. And so, yes, Cecilia, of course they're going to try over and over and over and over until they finally find somebody different, that will meet their needs, or they grow up. One or the other will happen, and it'll be interesting to see which one it is. It's almost like Las Vegas. It's almost like you're rolling the dice. Are you capable of this? Are you able to evolve? Are you really? And it's really fun to see who is and who isn't. And the ones who aren't, they leave because you're no longer their fix. Does that make sense? Okay, so your homework assignment today, look at one narcissist, look beyond their behavior, and come up with a strategy of how you want to handle the next time that they have an emotional blow up or they're manipulating your mind. Do you want to laugh? Do you want to walk away? Do you want to say thank you for sharing? It is, Chanel. It's like a psychological science project. And the only way you can do it, the only way you can explore this is when you are grounded, happy, healthy, when you're getting your needs met, when you're, I see a psychologist, I have my own coach, I have my own assistants, my own community. Hey, Dana, I take my own herbal medicines. We all do that. That's what we need to do to stay healthy. And here's a cool little factoid. So, people who live in chronic pain tend to live longer than those who do not. And here is why. Because when you have chronic pain, like a narcissist in your life, when you have chronic pain, it forces you to figure things out. It forces you to take better care of yourself and to really find out how life works. Because you can't rest on your laurels because it's too dramatic. It's too hard. You have got to figure it out. And so, when you're dealing with somebody like a narcissist in your life, they are a great catalyst for your personal peace, happiness, and evolution. They're wonderful for that because you don't have any wiggle room to just sit back on your laurels and skate by through life. It's the people who don't have that ability to adjust to life. They're the ones who end up with the biggest problems, and they actually die sooner and less healthy. Whereas you, my friend, because you're learning how to deal with this and rock with it and roll with it, because you're able to do that, you're going to live a better life. You're going to be healthier. You're going to live longer, and you are going to win this game because you've got that motivation to do it, and because you don't have any wiggle room to not do it. Okay. So let's see. You just stay alone too much because of it. Hey, Jane, start reaching out to people online or like this, or getting a coach, or really dialing into a good psychologist or counselor. Find somebody so that you can get some new people in your life, some people that are safe. A lot of people are not safe, and so you actually have to seek them out. You have to sometimes pay them, go through your insurance, maybe it's out of pocket, maybe join a group. But irregardless, those people exist, but they are not everywhere. But if you seek them out and start to respond and start to surround yourself with it, then you'll get stronger. It's not good to isolate like that. Chanel says, Jane, don't isolate. Just add more positive people in your life. Absolutely. Add more people who get it, are healthy, are kind, are balanced. Add more people like that in your life, and you will find yourself evolving too. You become most like the 5 people you spend the most time with. So spend the most time with cool people, okay? Listen to cool things that inspire and motivate you. And when you do that, you feel good, you will evolve. And maybe, just maybe, your narcissist will start to evolve too after a few years. Jane says, went to the spiritualist church hoping to find new friends, and they were mostly the same. Yes, exactly. I don't do religion, Jane. You really have to do your homework. You can't assume anything like unity or Unitarian or spiritualist or even a Native American tribe. They're all going to have their own politics. They're all going to have their own challenges. And because of that, yes, Chanel says there are closed narcissism Facebook groups. Absolutely. And I just started a narcissism Facebook group. Hey, Patty, good to see you. So if you want a safe space with positive messages, find the group. It's called Healthy Strategies to Cope with Narcissists. That's what it is. And you can find it through my business page, which is Rita Aiken-Hickman, Inspire Massage. And I know, Jane, you were looking for kind, sweet people, and you're not going to find them on a street corner. You actually have to really do some due diligence and have them jump through a few hoops so that you can decide whether they are actually kind, sweet people. You got to take responsibility for that, because the majority of people have a lot of issues that they're still working with, and they're not going to be able to be the groundedness and the light that you need. But they exist. They're out there. You just have to dig a little bit deeper, okay? So anyways, I'm going to sign out for now. I'll see you tomorrow. Look for the Facebook group and join it. We just started it, so I'm looking for members. And if you feel stuck, let me know. We'll point you in the right direction, okay? I'll talk to you later. Bye.